Is our number. Joining me here tonight in the studio is Dr. Jacob Sharony, president and founder of Mobius Consulting, an independent firm specializing in wireless and mobile technologies. Dr. Sharony is also an adjunct professor at Columbia. Also here with me, Mike Deary, the communications director for the town of Hempstead. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Sharony, you don't even think we have as many cell towers as we need to do the job adequately, and demand is getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Right. With the explosion of data services, the new technologies require much denser deployment. In the old days, and when I say old days, less than 10 years.
Which was just 10 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
Even less. We had maybe in Long Island less than 100 towers. Now we need many more, and they were apart, like 10 miles apart. Today we have to put them sometime a mile apart. And the reason is, back then we did just voice. We just talked on the phone. And the signal that you need at the handset is not so strong. But now with all the iPhone and video streaming and the other smartphone,
right,
we're all the time just consuming data, and we haven't seen nothing yet. This will just grow. So we have to put the cell tower closer and closer, so we'll see many folds of cell towers almost everywhere. Are we,
when I say we, just people who are concerned about having cell phone towers near their houses, is it a justified concern at this point? Because there's been no direct link to health concerns and cell phone towers or EMF or electromagnetic fields, anything like that. Is there a justification right now to be concerned?
There are two types, let me clarify first. There are two types of exposures. One from the cell tower.
Okay.
It's a very weak signal. It's very small signals that is like 6 or more order of magnitude less than what the tower really transmits. And this falls very quickly after 100 meters or less. The other one, but it's 24/7. It's a weak signal, always on.
Always on, okay.
The other one is the cell phone that we put here. We use it maybe
or carry in our pockets.
Maybe
yeah.
it's 3 minutes when we talk on the phone.
And the cell phone gets warm.
Exactly. But there the power is very high. It's really high compared to the cell tower. It's at the very same point. It's several, like 1,000 or 10,000 times even stronger. Yeah. So especially when you have like 1 bar on the phone, this means that the phone really up the power.
It's working harder to get the signal, okay.
And basically in order to talk.
All right, so then with everything we know, and as smart as we are about this technology and all our science, how come nobody can definitively tell me if this is dangerous or not? Why don't we know that?
There is no conclusive evidence between exposure, and we said there is a very small exposure over a long time or high exposure for a short time. There is no conclusive evidence. This industry is relatively young. It's 10, 15 years.
Which is not a lot.
And there is no link between exposure and health. Take, for example, the completely other things. Smoking, for example, there is a concrete link between health problem and smoking, but it takes 20 or 30 years to develop
yeah, because what, 50 years we didn't know.
Right,
so
good we
point.
Don't know.
Good
it may
point.
come in 10 or 20 years, but I personally would be more worried with the cell phone near my ear because it's closer to my head or my brain, and it's very high power.
Than the antenna. Okay.
Than the antenna.
Let's take a break. We're going to take some of your calls on this topic in a moment. Would you be concerned if there were plans to put up a cell tower in your neighborhood? Back with more in just a minute.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, Mike, I get that. Thank you so much. You know, Dr. Sharony, Mike brings up a point of there's so much stuff revolving around us these days. I'm not even sure we know half of what that stuff really is.
That's true. Cell tower is one, but there are lots of Wi-Fi access points that are all over. Part of the problem of today's cell phone technology is that they don't have enough capacity.
Okay.
So they are offloading the traffic to Wi-Fi access point, and many infrastructure companies are building Wi-Fi access point in some of these picocell and macro cells to offload the tower. So we have energy from everywhere. But as I said before, the signal is very, very small relative to holding a handset close to your ear. So this is just the beginning. Coming along are all kind of machine-to-machine communication. So far we are talking between people and the like.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it?
Exactly. It's just the starting. Later we would have all kind of devices. There is a new initiative of smart grid connecting all the utilities, the station, the sensor. They will all communicate via wireless. There are wireless sensor networks. So this is just the beginning. We will be surrounded all over with wireless, and sometimes you would walk in the street and you would be exposed to wireless, which is stronger than the one from the cell tower.
Wow. Yeah, Dr. Sharony, what about legislation like that? Do you think it's fair, and do you think it's necessary?
Certainly, people would like, you know, from the aesthetic point of view, they don't want it near their home, as well as the health concern. If we open the door and we like cell phones and all the services, that's what we have to pay. This is a trade-off between a convenient life and where we are going into the future, and doing nothing. Driving in cars and the air is not so clean. It's also a problem, but we forgive it, and we like to drive cars, and we like to drive not so green or clean cars.
Yeah.
So the very same goes here. Cell phone will continue, and people like it, and there are all new services that will come. And
I don't even think we could imagine life without cell phones, you know, anymore.
And also, it would make sense to share the infrastructure, not just the physical pole. Sometimes you drive through some areas, and in the field of view, you see like 3 towers.
Right. Why aren't they all
on the same? They can put them in the same tower, share the very physical equipment, and even more into some of the services.
That would be great.
So that would reduce.
That's great. That leads into the last question that I wanted to ask Dr. Sharony. Is anybody doing a definitive study at all on the health concerns?
There are many studies that are done, and some of them are sponsored by the cell companies. Some are.
Okay.
So there are lots of interest groups
here.
here.
Those results, yeah.
And from time to time, we hear from a certain university they did study. They found that kids are very susceptible because they are less developed, and they can suffer more from the emission. And other studies by cell phones found that there is no any connection.
Right.
So I would say, if you want to be safe, you have to minimize the exposure. Either let's use the handset, or maybe speak on the speakerphone or with the Bluetooth, or what's interesting here is people even that don't speak on a cell phone still are exposed to the tower.
Really? Okay.
But again, it's a small amount of energy, and I personally would not worry that much about it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you coming in. Mike Deary from the town of Hempstead, Dr. Jacob Sharony from Mobius Consulting. If you'd like some more information on tonight's show, visit our website at news12.com. Click on numbers and links. You're watching Long Island Talks. There is more next here on News 12 Long Island.